Hello, happy spring. For such a long time, I have wanted a system in Notion that combines my goal setting system, which is the 12-week year, with my task management system, which is getting things done, but that also feels like a kind of daily planner notebook, the kind of thing that you'd have from bullet journaling. And I finally feel like I have that. I've been gradually sharing this template here on YouTube over the last couple of months, and in this video I'm going to walk you through me setting up my 12-week goals in Notion for this period, February to end of April. I'm following the Celtic wheel this year, which means that I'm following more of a seasonal goal setting system and kind of just aligning with other things that I have going on at the moment. This term is more, of a work kind of term, but also some big life things that I want to achieve across these next 12 weeks. I definitely spent the wintering it out so that I could come back at this time of year a bit more fresh and a bit more ready for some bigger events. Here we are in the homepage section of the template. You can see that I currently have no goals here. That's what we're going to be setting up now, because this is set up to be your current 12-week goals. And where we're going to do that is this quarter. Now, I'm not using the typical quarterly system this year, but the template is set up that way. You could alter this where you change this around to match whatever dates you're going with. But the idea of the 12-week year is that you should be able to start this at any point in the year, and it doesn't have to be set into quarters. It's just that for most people, it's kind of useful to have this as part of this kind of overview. You could just consider this page your 12-week year page and kind of ignore the aspect around quarters altogether if you wanted. So you can see that I have some events coming up for the next couple months. This is really useful for me to take a look at. So when I'm doing my planning, I'm not going to be setting unrealistic plans for these periods. This is also where I track my progress. This was in here as an example because I didn't have this template fully set up when I was doing my 12-week year last quarter. This is the one part of this that's going to be somewhat manual. I do like to track these, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this filter, which currently is for this year, and then I'm just going to change it to the past year, and I'm going to move this into Q4 2024. Okay, and then that just means we'll need to create a new view here. Of an existing database. I want a table view, and then we'll just leave that there. Perfect. So I'll change this back to this year. Moving down here, this is where the main planning of what goals you actually want to set for the next 12 weeks is going to happen. I would fill this in every single quarter. Again, you could copy this in and kind of put that into your review for your quarterly goals. I tend to just delete these, but I've already set this up for this current 12-week term. I've filled in my current state for each of the different areas of life that I have set, and then I have a goal state as well. So the areas of life are my broad areas of life. Within that, we have sub areas as well. So these would be areas of focus within different areas. I'm thinking about the goal state of where I want to be in this particular area of life after these 12 weeks. Now, it's not going to be possible to do all of these in 12 weeks, but it's possible to do some of these, and this is where I'm kind of making that decision as to what I actually want to work on. I'm also following a tip from Ali Abdaal, which is to try and connect your goals to an identity. So I've included in here the identity of I am a content creator, I am a drama teacher or a creative director. Basically thinking, how far away am I from being those things, and what goal can I set to actually align me with that? When I was brainstorming some different goals, I came up with a few. So one goal that I was considering that I put into my kind of video for setting my goals for the year and thinking about these ones was my yoga teacher training. What I actually realized was I've signed up for this yoga teaching course. I have it already in my calendar, and the main kind of probably finishing the course won't actually happen until the next 12-week cycle. Another goal that I also wasn't considering but now am considering is to pass my driving test. Now, I don't have a strong identity of wanting to actually be a driver. That's not something I feel particularly connected to, But I am really connected to the idea of wanting to be able to go to my family home and pick up my dog Lola and bring her over to my eventual home that I have, or to be able to travel around Ireland or go on hikes or go to Galway to visit my dad. Passing my driving test is something that I think I can realistically do in this 12-week year because I don't think it's going to require a huge amount of time commitment. I'm really close in terms of having those lessons finished. But as you will know, if you've been around here on this channel, I've tried to make this happen for quite some time. I really think if I want to do this, it needs to be raised up to a 12-week goal. Otherwise, I don't think I will ever commit to passing my driving test. The thing that I am most connected to at the moment in terms of a goal is to get a mortgage. I really want to become a property owner. I want to stop paying rent. I also know that there's other goals that this is connected to that I need to make this happen sooner rather than later. Having spent the last 12-week year preparing my finances for the mortgage, I feel like we're in a good position to actually buy a property in the next 12 weeks, provided we see somewhere that we like. Eventually, I want to not be the managing director of the company that I am managing at the moment. Staying on as creative director, but the main thing there is outsourcing, which this was something that kind of happened in the last 12-week year, but there's a lot more that needs to happen this 12-week cycle if I want to actually make that happen. If I want to eventually replace my income, then it's important that I am able to sustainably make a living from this YouTube channel. Now, the tricky thing with making that a goal, that kind of goal can often make the actual process of being a content creator less appealing. I think when you're focused on that, it takes away from it. I'm trying not to consider that as my goal. I'm trying to consider the goal of being a content creator, or that identity of being a content creator, because I think the income will come when we're focused more on that idea. For that to happen, I think that would be being consistent on YouTube. The other thing that I really want from life is to go to drama school. Last 12-week year, we auditioned for some drama schools. The second and third rounds of those auditions will be happening in this 12-week cycle. And that is something that I also want to keep top of mind. Other things that I'm thinking of at the moment is we've got 2 weddings coming up in this 12-week period. One at the end of February and one in like week 13 of 12 actually. But it's still something to bear in mind. I'd really like to get to Galway to visit my dad over the Easter holidays. I've got a big production coming up in March. We've got a couple of things to do with competitions in the drama school over the next couple months. I want to finish up my commitments that I have in the gym. There's other things that I'm thinking of, but what I've now decided are going to be my 12-week goals is, I feel really nervous. Passing my driving test, prepare handover. I feel like I could get nicer names for these. This is a goal related to the business. Finish drama school auditions, buy a property, and be consistent on YouTube. Now, 5 goals, this is quite a lot. In the 12-week year, we're typically looking at 3, maybe 4 goals, but I feel like I can do this. I did a little bit of planning around this already to see time-wise, how much time do I need to put in for each of these goals, and I think it is realistic to do this. Buying a property, is it home? Is it finances? I don't know. I'm going to put down home because that's what's really connected for me at the moment, is that idea of wanting a home. I'm not going to put in a description for now. I am going to put in the start date. That's going to be really important for setting these goals up as we progress. The start date for these goals is going to be next Monday. Exciting. And then what I need to do is start to set up each of these as their own kind of projects and tasks and habits. I'll start with the driving test goal, and I'll open this up here. I'm going to use this 12-week goal template, and I'm going to open this up as a full page probably so that I can do this more easily. This is going to be my driving weekly scorecard. I need to connect this to the passing my driving test goal, so I'm going to do that straight away. And then you can see that the week starting will automatically fill in. Cool. Metrics, I think I will come back to. I'll start to think now about tasks and projects. A task that will be important will be to book my lessons. I'll need to book my test. I don't think I actually have any full projects for this particular task. It's kind of a simpler one. I need to get L plates for Emma's car, because that's what I'm going to be using for practicing. I think read the handbook. That is the other thing. Do I need to connect this to a project? I don't think so. I don't think I've got any projects here. I could get more detailed here in terms of practicing specific things. Maybe something that I will actually put down as a project. I'll say practice main driving tasks, because I don't remember what they are, but I know there's a couple of different main driving tasks that are going to come up on the test that if you fail those are automatic fails. So I'm gonna book my lessons in the first week. I will aim to book my test after 4 weeks, and then L plates needs to happen in week 1. Reading the handbook, I'm going to put down for week 2, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of time. I'm going to say practicing my main driving tasks on week 6, and then maybe I'll put down for like doing my test. Well, I suppose I'm hoping to do my test whenever it comes up, but I might put down like a mock test at the halfway point, and then I'll know kind of where I am at, and I'll just drop that down to week 7. Habits, I will need to do a driving lesson once a week. So I'm going to pop that habit down there, and the frequency is going to be 1 time per week. And then I need to practice realistically 3 times per week. Okay, and I'm going to do those habits every single week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy both of these, and then I'm going to duplicate them, and then I'm going to drag those down to the relevant week. And I'm just going to do that a couple times. Okay, so I now have that filled in, all of those habits ready to go. I'm now just going back to think, are there any metrics that I want to track for this goal? I think probably not. I think maybe just time in car would be the one thing. Like, how much time am I spending driving in the car each week? I don't think I want to basically track any other metrics, because I'm going to be tracking my habits, my tasks, and my projects scored each week. And that is going to give me an overall score for this goal. So I could probably just delete these metrics here. So I'm going to do that because I don't need them. Then I'm going to rename this my driving goal weekly scorecard. And that just means I'll be able to find this more easily down the line. I'm going to add a little icon for this, which is going to be a car. That's a really cute car. Perfect. Okay, so we're back on the home page, and you can see that I actually have 6 goals because I forgot to put the yoga teacher training goal in. And I was debating putting that one in, but I have homework to do for this course. And honestly, I just loved the first weekend of it so much that I really want to make it a priority and a focus. However, 6 goals is too many. It really should be like 3 for the 12-week year, maybe 4. 5 was pushing it. 6 has thrown my little area here out of alignment, and that really annoys me. So I'll talk you through what I've filled in for all the rest of the goals, and you guys can help me decide which one I should demote, which one I should take off from being a 12-week goal. What I want to do right now though is fill in my cover photos for each of these, and I made these in Canva just using the different icons basically, and these are the ones that I went for the goals. I wanted to do ones that I felt like would make me kind of excited when I looked at them. So I'm going to fill those in. You could do that in the main dashboard of the goals, but if you're doing it from this area, the where that you find that will be if you go to view details, because this is kind of like a hidden extra section, and then you'll upload or put in a link. And then I want to just add an icon for this as well. And the icon that I use for yoga, because there isn't really a good one, is just the peace icon, because that's what it's all about, really. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the same for all the other goals. Okay, so here they all are now with their lovely images. I do feel pretty excited about all of these. I think the ones that I definitely don't want to get rid of will be passing my driving test because, again, I really feel like I need to have that as a 12-week goal to really get it done. This is really important, preparing my management handover. Buying a property is really, really important to me. And then it's kind of between the other three. So while the drama school auditions are paramount, I realistically just have, 2 main days that are really going to be important over the next couple months. It's possible I won't even have the third one. We'll see when we go through the plans for each. I think this is one that could potentially get demotivated because it was the one that I did put a lot of effort into last term. The other one is the consistency on YouTube. And again, you'll see when I talk about the plan that I have for it, I feel like the second I start setting goals for YouTube, that's when my drive to actually do this work goes completely out the window. So, what does that say about me? I don't know. So we went through the passing my driving test goal together, and I'm going to go through the other goals with you now. Let's go through preparing the management handover first. So in terms of the weekly scorecard, I have time worked, pages written, because the main job you'll see is that I'm going to be writing up a handbook for a manager to take over. Metric 3, I did not put in another metric, and I don't actually think I need another metric, so I'm gonna delete that one. The tasks that I have early on is to make a financial plan. So that's kind of one of the first things I need to do to figure out when I'm hiring a manager, where that money is going to come from in the company, and also what else will need to kind of maybe go to generate that income and how that will affect my income going forward as well. And then also to brainstorm the management book. So I already have a lot of tasks related to the management and admin handbook. If we go into the actual project itself, we can see that these were tasks that I actually already put in. You can see that those tasks don't come up in this task list here. And you might be wondering why. That is because these tasks were already assigned to this handbook project, and that means that when they were added, when the management project was added, the tasks didn't get added alongside it. So what I could do if I want this to happen would be I would unlink each of these tasks and then relink it. So if I try and relink that same task, we should see that that task will then show up in this project here. The task will typically show up in the area of the project where there is kind of a deadline already associated. You can now see that those are starting to move along. They have now shown up in week 1, which is not really where I want them all. They'll naturally go by the first week of the planned dates for the project itself. So because I don't actually want to assign tasks to individual weeks, I am going to just put these all back to kind of like no week at this current time. And then the idea is that I suppose I'll add these to different weeks as I go along. For week 1, I do just want to have brainstorming the management book. And then I'm actually going to add making financial plan to week 2. These will then be the kind of tasks that I need to do as part of this project that I want to work on across these first 6 weeks. And then I currently have the plan general manager because they're probably not actually going to be a managing director in week 12. And then I have other tasks that I have down further along the line. So closer to the time when I'm going to be hiring, I have a plan to inform the staff, inform the trust, and then create a job description for that hiring project. I suppose there'll be interviewing and stuff going on around that time as well. It's possible, depending on how I'm getting along, I could move this to a week earlier, but that will just kind of depend how I'm actually doing with all of these tasks, plus the other tasks that will come from the kind of brainstorming, because there's a lot of stuff missing from this list. In terms of the habits that I have for this, I have do a weekly work review. My plan to make sure that I'm documenting all of the processes that are required for a manager is to every week do a weekly review of the work that I have done in this week as a manager. And that'll mean that I'll probably end up adding to the long list of stuff that I need to document, but that it will be clear what kind of things need to be documented. I will also be having a weekly staff meeting, and then there'll be notes taken from that I might need to add to kind of the staff training handbook that I think also is required. And then same thing for the inbox, that's kind of looking through the admin side of things. I basically need to do that every single week. I also need to actually work on doing this handbook. I'm not putting it down as a habit because I don't actually have a set number of times per week that I want to work on this. Really, I have kind of a goal number of hours per week that I want to work on it. And that's where I'm kind of getting the time worked and the pages written as the kind of key metrics that I want to track there. Going into then the drama school auditions goal, this is one where there's not really as much to think about in terms of the tasks and projects. The round 2 audition for the Lear is going to be, I'm thinking mid-March, but it could be in April. And then I know now that the final audition is going to be actually on week 12 of the 12-week year, which I didn't know beforehand. So I can go ahead and add this in. I have already got the week for my round 2, what that I think it's going to be in week 7. Add in now project for Lear round 3. And I'll just pop that down into week 12. Cool. So there's nothing really to do for this apart from practice. I have practices that I want to schedule with 3 different people. Imogen is kind of my main acting coach, and then Martha is someone that I work with in the drama school that I run who has gone to the Lear, so I want to get her feedback. And then Charlotte is a good friend of mine who I work with as well, who is more of a movement director, and movement is definitely something I struggle with as a performer, so I'd be really keen to kind of get some feedback from her. Now, I have the task deadline in there for week 7 because they're linked to that project of Lear round 2, but actually I'm going to move these a little bit earlier so that I don't miss out on the option to get in touch with them. And the way that this works is it's possible to work on tasks over multiple weeks. So if you're dragging them around, you may just need to change the property there from being week 7 and week 5 into one particular one. So I'm going to do that for this goal here. So I'm changing it from week 5 into week 7. You could actually change this if you didn't want to be able to work on a task for multiple weeks. You could change this property, which is currently a multi-option property, and you could change that into a single select. So that means when you move them around, it would just work for single weeks. For the projects, I think it's pretty sensible to have the option to work on this for multiple weeks. So I would probably keep that as is. So the reason that I'm thinking that this is potentially one to demote is just that there isn't actually that much work I need to track. I'm going to an improv class once a week. That's, I'm hoping, going to be really helpful for my kind of confidence in the play aspect of the audition. I also want to do a self-practice twice a week and a group practice once a week. Then just to connect myself to that idea of being an actor, I'm planning to either read or see a play once a week. I could keep these habits and just not have them as a goal. And same way I would keep these projects, these 2 projects and the little practices, and then just again not have it as a goal. This is the one that I'm kind of leaning towards taking down from my official 12-week year because I sort of just know that I will do this work. Although the one thing that I'm not certain about is that I'll keep up with my self-practices if I don't have a regular reminder of this. In terms of the goal to buy a property, the metrics that I'm tracking for this goal are the viewings that we've gone to, like number of viewings, number of offers we've put in a week, number of the total savings that we have, and then the total amount of unplanned spends that I've done in a week. So this is going to be good for kind of keeping my spending low. And the habit that I have is low spend 7 times a week, which so far so good. I want to do a relationship meeting with Jack once a week, and that's going to be our way of keeping on top of the listings that are coming through, any kind of financial changes we need to make, and maybe any offers we want to put in. We work quite opposite shifts, so we kind of need to like book this in and schedule it if we actually want to get it done. and we didn't manage to do it this week, then Jack is away this weekend, so it's not going to happen for this week. I have planned in terms of projects to fill in the mortgage portal. So we have all of these documents we need to upload. Now, that actually is not going to get done this week. So I'm going to stretch it across to next week. I do think over the weekend I will get these kind of dashboards built because Jack is away. I'll probably end up spending some time on my Notion over the weekend working on my financial dashboard, my budget, and then the home buyer dashboard as well. And then the project that I have spanning across weeks 2 to 8 is to declutter. Before we're going to be moving place, I would really like for us to declutter and not have to bring as much stuff along with us. I could make a list of areas to declutter. I just felt like I will do that as I go along for this. So I'm not going to be really strict and assign myself specific areas to declutter each week. I just feel like that would not be beneficial for me. I have each month a budget project as well. From week 9, my hope is that this is kind of where we're actually getting to the point of maybe having chosen a place and that we'd start packing for the eventual move. And like this might be like completely delirious, but who knows? I have all of these different tasks because I put in some specific tasks for the dashboards that I want to build. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put in as a task or a habit to arrange viewings. I'm not really sure how I want to track that, but I guess because I'll be looking at this kind of plan every week, I'll be able to kind of see if I want to keep making a task around arranging viewings each week. I have each month to review spending and create my next budget. We don't have any other tasks that are related there, but as I'm working on each of the projects that I've assigned, there will be kind of tasks that get added to that. Okay, YouTube consistency. I told you that this is one that I really struggle with. I'm happy with the metrics that I put together: time spent, videos uploaded, views, subscribers, and ads revenue. Those are really good metrics for me to track for this goal. I have in here my habits are to plan a video, film a video, edit a video, and post a video once a week. That is like the bare minimum, and I think that that is okay. I have some projects in here for 12 different videos that I could do across these 12 weeks. I just know myself, and every time I start to do this with making a specific content plan, it really throws me off, and it kind of like annoys me, especially when I have videos that I kind of come up with. So I've already thought of a video that I want to make that now isn't in this plan, and I'm like frustrated. And it's often, I don't know, those kind of videos that then don't do as well, and then I get annoyed, and I need to just be able to enjoy the content creation process. And I'm worried that this kind of structured planning actually won't allow me to enjoy it as much, which is really counterintuitive to the whole idea of productivity. Anyways, I also have decided I just don't really like having the tasks associated to each of these content projects. It just frustrates me to see them on my to-do list because I have a set period that I work on content creation work and that I know is the amount of time I need to produce a video. So I don't feel like I need to have those as specific options, but because I have them here as habits, I'm hoping that will help me see where am I falling off the process in the week. Last but not least, the yoga teacher training. So exciting. So basically, there are several weekends between now and May that I'll be working on this teacher training. My plan is to work on Sundays for a couple hours doing my kind of study for the training. There'll be homework for each of these, so that's what I've set up as projects. Then I also want to set up my dashboard for my yoga area of life that will include all my kind of notes and all of my teacher stuff. So I've put in my first little bits of homework. So we have writing cues for each of the poses that we've done so far. We have to write a Shavasana script, and same for a sun salutation script, and then like a centering script for the start of class. And there's 2 different readings that I want to do over the next couple of weeks as well. I have those projects. I have my yoga dashboard down as a project for this current week, which I don't know if I'll do that this week, might get pushed to next week. And then my homework is due on homework 2 is due on week 2. Where's homework 1 gone? So I'll assign another project here. Homework 1. And that I want to happen over multiple weeks, please. Yes. So homework 1 is happening over weeks 1 to 3. Homework 2 is happening over weeks 4 to 6. Homework 3, I believe, should be happening across these several weeks. So let me update that. I presume so anyways. So week 6 is going to be March 17th. Week 7 is March 17th, and we'll have yoga training that week. And then I'll have a show that week. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be for quite some time. So weeks 7 to 10. Homework 4 and 5 will only happen in the last 2 weeks. What's week 11 there? Yeah, so that will happen in week 11 and 12. And I guess realistically beyond, because it doesn't finish until the end of May. But I will have, I suppose, a lot of the work done by that point. And I don't know what those homeworks will entail, but I have a sense of some of the things that we'll need to do. Mainly it'll be working on homework. And then I want to practice yoga 5 times a week. I want to do my mobility training 5 times a week, and then I want to study just 1 time a week. My plan is to do that on Sundays, and those are the habits that I have for all of the 12 weeks. What we then need to see is, how is it all looking together? The benefit of the system that I've built, not to toot my own horn, but the benefit is that you can see all of these things in one place when we go to the 12-week plan. Starting off with habits, you just kind of want to get a sense of, is this too much for me to be thinking about for a single week? Don't forget to load them all. These are our weekly habits that we're taking a look at. YouTube consistency, we have posting, editing, filming, and planning a video. Yoga teacher training, we want to study once a week and then do mobility and practice 5 times a week. In terms of our property goal, we're doing our relationship meeting once a week, checking the listings 3 times a week, and doing low spend 7 days a week. In terms of the finish, my drama school auditions, I want to read or watch 1 play. I want to do group practice once a week, self-practice 2 times, and my improv class once a week. For my management goal, inbox review, staff meeting, and weekly work review once per week. For my driving goal, practice 3 times a week and do a driving lesson 1 time a week. And currently all those habits are carried forward across every single week. I think those are realistic. I have a day per week to work on content creation. I have some time on Sundays to do my yoga stuff, and these are kind of fitted into my general weekly routine. Relationship meeting, I do think it's realistic for us to do that once a week. And then like the checking listings and low spend, those are like pretty easy habits for me to do. I'm feeling like the self practice is the one that I really need to think about how to fit that into my week, because improv class is already happening and group practice is already happening. Reading is generally happening. I just haven't finished a play this week. And then in terms of my management work, this week hasn't been a great week for it, but I think it's realistic for me to do this generally. For driving, I think 3 times a week, it might be tricky for me to do that 3 times a week. But that's something I can see where I would fit it in my week, because I'm already over in my family home a couple times a week with my dog. And I see my sister once a week who could also practice with me. I do think that's realistic. Let's take a look at the projects, and let's also keep in mind the dates that I have any kind of key things going on. So we can get rid of any of these no week projects. Week 1, we're starting our work on our management handbook. That's obviously a long goal. It's not going to go across just 1 week. Starting homework 1 for my yoga, building the dashboards for my yoga area of life, the home buyers, the financial dashboard. That's probably a lot of time on Notion that I've planned for myself this weekend, and I don't know if that's super realistic. And same thing for the February budget, that kind of ties into the financial dashboard. And then in terms of content, we have this 12-week year video that I'm filming right now. I think that's probably fine. In week 2, we have, again, continuing to work on homework 1, doing my mortgage portal, continuing to work on the management handbook, starting my decluttering for getting ready to move, and then the video that we have is the 4 systems of productivity. Basically, I can go through each of these weeks and just look at what work I've assigned in terms of these projects, and go back as well and check my general week and see, is there kind of a week where there's going to be a problem? For example, when we have bigger events on or specific projects going on for the business that maybe are going to get in the way of that. I started setting this up already, so I'm actually going to delete this so I can show you how to do it, which is really kind of me. This is the part I mentioned at the beginning that is manual. We want to be able to put our goal progress into this section here. So what we do is we create a linked view of a database, and we're going to go for, you can look up goal weekly scorecard and they'll all generally be there. Some of them I didn't end up renaming, but you can see that we can see which page it comes from here. So the goal weekly scorecard, I can see the buyer property goal. Let's just choose any of those. And we're going to click the table view, because then that's going to make it be in that nice specific layout that we have already. And then we can just go ahead and hide the database title because we don't actually need it. And then we can rename it with whatever we like. I would just put this as management. And then you could maybe just put a little icon for that. And you just go ahead and do that for all of the different goals. So you can now just, again, do a new empty view and find whatever dashboard you want. So I'm going to look up the driving one. And again, I'm going to select the table layout that we have. And that just does that for all of those. We just end up doing the same thing. By the end, we have this nice view here where we can see all of the different goals that I have. So currently still 6, which does just about fit in here, to be fair. The driving goal, the management goal, the YouTube goal, auditions, yoga, property, and then we can just fill in each of these different sections with the amounts every single week. You'll now also be wondering, okay, how does this fit into my general life? Well, most of the time I'll be kind of in my this week when I'm doing my weekly planning. You'll see that our goals will show up here, and wouldn't it be nice if there was just 5 here? I think so. But for now, we'll keep working with our 6. You'll see that the this week habits are all going to show up here. Then each day you can just fill in those different habits. What I will do in a moment is I will update this schedule because these are all old, and then we can see how the work is going to actually fit into my general weekly schedule. The other thing that we'll see is any of the projects that we have assigned for this week or upcoming soon will start to show up here as well, so you can be keeping in mind all of the work that you've assigned. The same thing for any tasks that you've assigned. They'll all show up here as well based on maybe any of the projects that you have too. Finally, this is my kind of general weekly schedule of how I think I'm going to fit in most of this work. My general aim every day is to see at least 6, if not, 8 or 9 hours of green or yellow in the day, because that would be either creative or social or like self-care time based. Gaps will also just be that kind of time. Mondays is going to be one of my key days for working on content creation. And then also it's one of my key days for housework, because essentially Monday is sort of like my Sunday. I have then in the evening a little bit of self-practice time for my acting work, and then just my general evening routine. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday then are somewhat similar in terms of they're mostly focused on management work. I'll generally be at my family home, so it'll be an opportunity for me to practice driving, and I'll have some general admin work in the morning or staff meetings in the afternoon, or in the case of Wednesday, I'm teaching on a Wednesday night. And you can see that in total, about 26 hours in my schedule for working on my work that I do managing my business. I would say that's probably an underestimation. There's often extra work that crops up into other parts of my week. So if I schedule between 25 to 30 hours of work a week, it's probably more realistic that 35 hours is happening, because there'll be other hours when I'm trying to fall asleep or early in the morning that I end up spending thinking on this business. So I try and aim for around 25 hours of planned work a week. Then in terms of content creation, I have another similar day to Monday on Friday, but I have my Friday evenings free because me and Jack typically spend Friday evenings together. Saturday evenings are also free. That tends to be another day that we spend together. In terms of each of the goals then, my content goal you can see is covered by the 2 days of content work. The work that I'm aiming to do in terms of the management handover is going to be happening across those hours that I have assigned to the management portion of work. The yoga teacher training goal, I have this 3-hour block on Sundays to do some yoga teacher training studying. I'm going to say that is kind of optional. I'm not going to force myself to do that because I feel like I'll get through the work for this course very easily. And then I have a yoga time block in for, I think, pretty much every day. It also factors into my morning routine on certain days if I'm not doing any other activity, that I'll do my mobility and maybe a slightly longer session if I'm not doing other forms of yoga. In terms of my driving goal, then I put in 2 days, Tuesday and Thursday, for driving from my family home and probably on a Sunday evening after dinner also. And then I've put in a tentative Saturday morning option with my sister because we typically go to yoga together on a Saturday morning. So if I could convince her to take me for a little bit of driving before or after, that would be great. That's the one that I'm looking at going. I don't know that I'm realistically going to be putting in 4 hours in the car every single week, but I could also spend that time maybe studying driving, if nothing else. In terms of my acting school goal, then I have put down some time for group practice on a Thursday night. I have my improv class on a Tuesday night, and then I've put in a little bit of self practice time on a Monday and a Wednesday. In terms of our property goal, I just have the relationship meeting down for around 4 o'clock on a Sunday. That seems realistic to me. I don't think any other time needs to be factored into the week necessarily. It's really more the kind of habit of checking the listings and just keeping on top of finances, which is more, general life admin work. And, the kind of gaps that we see in the week or a little bit of some time like at the end of the morning routine would be time that I generally do that kind of life admin, or sometimes it factors into these admin blocks or into these content blocks, to be honest. It's all just doing our best at the end of the day. That is it for this video. If you are in the midst of any 12-week year goals at the moment, I would love to hear what they are down below. If you have any suggestions for me in terms of how I could stop setting so many goals and just focus on a couple, that would be so helpful. I still haven't decided which one or two of these I will eliminate. I'm currently working with all of them, but I may, as I progress through this, get rid of one, maybe even two goals. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.